got no hands, we got submersive, we got submission on the shore, we got PFL, we got art of war, we have so much stuff we're preparing for.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Grapple Chat. I'm William Zay, and this is our guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Professor Smashpass Jet.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for having me on, Liam.
Thank
Greatly
you
appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
First one, too.
Yeah, exactly.
So flattered.
Yeah.
Flattered. Awesome, I appreciate it.
So, how are you?
Fantastic. I'm at jiu-jitsu. How bad could it be, right?
Exactly. It's always a great time. As long as you're on the mat.
Exactly, especially with this crew. It's awesome.
It's always a great time. So, I'm going to get right into the questions. All right?
Yep.
So, question one. How and when did you get started in BJJ, and who did you train under?
Okay, so in 2006, a friend of mine was a student of Ricardo Almeida's, his name's Steve Hutchinson, friend from high school, and he was bringing me to a seminar for Steve Bongiorno. Steve Bongiorno was a black belt under Ricardo Almeida, and he had opened up went into a karate academy and had like a seminar, and I was the first one to actually sign up. So I signed up at that seminar. That was South Jersey, BJJ's first day, and I'm actually student number one that signed up that day. So my friend got me involved. He was a friend of Steve Bongiorno, and I actually am student number one at South Jersey.
That is awesome.
Right?
That's
Cool story, right?
Yeah, it's a great story. Yeah, everybody's got a cool first story when they started jiu-jitsu. That's a pretty cool one.
Yeah.
First started.
First student, first black belt.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great accomplishment. Yeah. All right, the second question. Before jiu-jitsu, did you do any other sports / hobbies growing up?
Yes. I was heavy into wrestling from 4 years old. Competitively until about 20. I coached after high school, didn't go to college, but I would do Mawa tournaments and stuff like that. Played football, was pretty good at football, was like second team all county or whatever you want to call it. Wrestling was first team all division, and never won states or regions or anything like that, but had a good high school career and did pretty well after just in regular individual dual meets, nothing like collegiate.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And you want to know what's funny? I will tell you this. My favorite sport by far playing was baseball.
Baseball?
But it was the one I was least talented at by a landslide.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to be good at baseball because I just loved it, but I was average at best. Right. But I still love playing. Yeah, I love playing.
Yeah, I find that in wrestling, a lot of kids start very young. Like you said, 4 years old. They always start young in that sport. I think it's crazy.
Yeah. 4 years old. It was awesome.
That's great. All right. So, question 3: what inspires you in jiu-jitsu?
Dude,
What's your drive?
My drive is these guys. Watching these guys win. I swear to God, I was talking with JD a little bit earlier, and I love commentary. I love learning jiu-jitsu and all that, but honestly, watching the competitors win for me, right now at the stage of my life in coaching, is what is not only most important, but what I enjoy more than anything. Like I said, I love commentary. It's fun, but I learn new jiu-jitsu, not for commentary. I learn as much new jiu-jitsu as possible, and evolution of jiu-jitsu as possible for these guys, because watching them win is, for me, the greatest experience for me.
That's fantastic. Must be really rewarding to be a coach and a teacher and a mentor.
Incredibly rewarding. And again, I don't mean to just point the guys out, but they work so hard. You know what I mean? And people do like to give teams and coaches a lot of credit, but I don't think that the athletes get enough credit for getting up 7 days a week and driving and working and putting all the work in and learning and all that. So you guys know it's something it's something that I look at and I appreciate greatly from these guys. So they're my motivation, 100%.
That's great.
Yeah.
Just watching these guys grow, and when you first started coaching them to where they are now, I'm sure it's a great feeling to see their progression.
It is. Yeah. It is. They are. It's an amazing group, and their evolution is incredible. You know, they're white belts and blue belts doing high level passing and intricate passing and stuff like that. It's cool. I'm very lucky to be on the mats with that.
That's great. So this segues into our fourth question. pros and cons of the many hats you wear? Example, being a professor, a coach, and a commentator.
Yeah, that's
So
a good
what
question.
would be the pros and cons of each of those?
Yeah, so, man, the pros and cons of coaching. I'm going to say it's a con. The pros is just watching them evolve and win. That's such a, that pro will outweigh any con for me, okay? I will say that the only con for me with coaching is the traveling can be a bit much.
Right.
Flying places just in and out in a day, but understand that it will never stop me from doing what I do. But that's probably the only con. Man, as far as teaching goes, I don't know, man. Getting up a little earlier on a Saturday, it's going to be hard for me to find anything con about jiu-jitsu or competing or commentary. I will tell you that when I have people on a card and I am commentating, it's hard for me in the matches leading up. So, like if I'm coaching match 3, those first 2 matches, it's hard to get my mind off of the third match. That's the only thing that's a little bit. I'm so focused on wanting to have my mind focused for them that the lead up can be a little take my focus off the commentary momentarily. But
I understand that.
But don't get me wrong, I take all very, very seriously.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So 5th question, how did you get started in commentating? Because I know first, of course, you were a student.
Yeah.
Then you were a coach. And how did you get into commentating?
So for commentary, do you remember the PGL, Professional Grappling League?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Professional Grappling League was started by a student out of South Jersey, BJJ. And he had like all South Jersey guys like doing the reffing and the setup and all this. And he would take my noon classes. He's like, dude, I have to have you doing something. What do you think about trying commentary? And I was like, I'll try anything. What do I care? You know what I mean? So I did that, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I ended up doing all 10 of theirs. And then after that, I had gotten finishers, and the Good Fight, and a few MMA promotions. But it really took off in the 2016 ADCC East Coast Trials. Tom DeGlass was in charge of it, and he got me as the commentator. I got to work with Ricardo Amendolia from Flow. And after that trials, which was an amazing trials, I got picked up for Fight to Win and pretty much did a bunch of the Fight to Wins on the East Coast, which led to being able to do BJJ Fanatics, did 2018 East Coast Trials again. So it was from that little organization that got me the experience, the PGL. But then once the Glass was able to get me on the East Coast Trials, that's when the level of the commentary kind of went up for me to be doing bigger shows.
It really opened the door to the next level.
Oh, really did. And so the Flow grappling guys actually got to work with me and hear from me, and then they've been great literally ever since that day. Flow's been awesome to me.
That
really
is
has
awesome.
been. Yeah,
That's
they've been great people to me.
Yeah, commentating is always fun, especially when you're doing it.
Thank you. I take
It's
it.
always very
I take it very, very seriously.
You
Like
do.
I do hours of prep work for each thing before. I try to, even for the local guys. You know what I mean? I try to know as much as I can.
Yeah, it's important, especially for the grapplers, because you're
For sure.
conveying the information to the audience.
Yeah.
So it's important to have a good commentator to show all aspects of the game.
Yeah, especially when you have situations too where you might have somebody watching somebody who's their kid or their niece or their nephew that's competing who doesn't really know the sport.
Right.
So to try and explain it to somebody who doesn't know, it's just, for me, I try to explain exactly what's happening in front.
Right.
And I don't like to dog on people either. Maybe a little bit if it's the main event or co-main event, but for most of the time, if I'm doing an undercard, I'm trying to keep it as positive as possible because this is an experience for the people competing, and I wouldn't want my commentary to be something that ever shied somebody away from competing again because I was critical of what I said.
I understand, yeah. That's definitely really important, I feel. Like, not saying you won't acknowledge a bad position by somebody, but you definitely don't have to bring them down on it.
Yeah.
So that's a really good thing.
Although I will say I love when Gordon commentates and doesn't. I find it hysterical.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Everybody has their own style.
Right.
Yeah.
I just can't do that.
That's great. So number 6. what type of matches excite you while commentating? Like example, slow technical matches or Nicky Rod type matches at a high pace? Which one do you like commentating the best?
All right, so might not be a popular opinion. I love leg lock battles. I absolutely love two leg lockers shooting it out. To me, watching two technical leg lockers who know what they're doing go from position to entries to escapes, to me, that's my chess match that I love to watch because I understand how dangerous people will allow something to get and still be able to escape it. Me personally, don't get me wrong, love technical matches, love good wrestling, love all that, but for me, I love a good leg lock battle.
That's
just
great.
Me personally.
Yeah, especially when they're really good and they're able to chain submissions together and just the flow between positions and the perfection of the defense and the offense, and then how it can just change in a split second. It's just.
I need to have Liam commentate with me at some point. I think, man,
Yeah.
my man knows what he's talking about.
Thank
Absolutely, yeah, I love that. That's I love the technical chess match in LA. It's something that you don't see a lot. You know what I mean? Where it's two high level guys, and when I do get to call one, man, I always get excited for it.
It's like art.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, so number 7. Where do you think BJJ is as a whole? Is it growing or has it plateaued? And what steps does the sport need to take to move toward being more mainstream?
You want to know what? I think that's an awesome question, and I think that a lot happened last night at Who's Number One.
I agree.
That makes that question even more intriguing. I think that we are a year to 2 years away from it going mainstream.
You think so?
I think between what Who's Number One is doing with ADCC coming up and with Third Coast being on Triller or Fight.tv, I think that the market is going to start with people like Rogan becoming very interested in jiu-jitsu. Like, not only very interested, but like being at Who's Number One. Understand that's exposure that can get millions involved very, very quickly.
That's right.
I think it's not only on the rise, I think couldn't be in a better time to be a part of the rise. I really do. Last night was inspiring.
It was.
To hear what they have coming out. Whether they landed a big sponsor or whatever happened, it's going to be exciting for everybody.
It definitely was. I really like the part where you get the post-match interview. I feel like that's really cool because you get the perspective of they were just in the moment, and you get to see like what their thought process was in the match. And I feel like that's really important.
Yeah, it really has. Those shows have been amazing. You know, we've been blessed with things like Fight to Win and Third Coast and finishers and all this stuff. But I think Who's Number One is raising itself to this ADCC level now.
Definitely, yeah. I feel like that's important for the show aspect.
Incredibly important.
Yeah, because ADCC is great to watch, especially for the people that practice jiu-jitsu, but I feel it's also important to have a show for more entertainment aspects.
Yeah.
You know?
ADCC being once every 2 years with a few trials in North America. It's such a build-up and such a, we have people in this room that literally prepare for 2 years just for the trials, not even for the main tournament, like
right.
just for the trials.
Yeah.
And again, I think with Who's Number One now having it, we're having this basically every month now.
Yeah, it's great.
Spoiling us.
Yeah,
I like it.
It is, yeah. So going back to like the growth of it, do you think the growth is more steady or is it rapid? Like, do you think
I think
we're
it's rapid
getting
right
there
now.
Really quickly to the mainstream
I
level?
think right now it's on a rapid pace.
Yeah.
I really do. I think you're getting bigger and people interested in it. Even seeing sponsors like Fat Tire. Again, not to keep going back to the Who's Number One, but even seeing a major sponsor like that. I mean, you're talking now companies with budgets of millions.
Yeah.
For advertising. I think we are at the beginning of a quick rise. Like I said, maybe a year or two, and I can't imagine where it's going to be. I mean, if Who's Number One is able to put on where they got 5 divisions winning $30,000 in September, next September, my goodness, what's it going to be at?
That's right, yeah. I think it's going to be great once Jiu-Jitsu gets a decent financial backing, because then you can really start seeing the growth of Jiu-Jitsu.
Sure. And that's where it seems like who's number one in ADCC, and a third goes with Triller. I think that's what we can expect.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting to say the least. Moving on to our next question. Number 8. Do you think grapplers will be able to make comparable money to mainstream athletes, such as like basketball and baseball players? Do you think they can make salaries like that?
So salaries like that is still going to take time. I do believe that it will be able to take people that are outside of the top 10 to make livings added to where they can continue to excel. You know what I mean? I think we're still quite a bit away from being that level, selling out stadiums and stuff like that, but I don't think that it's possible to get to by any stretch of the imagination. And I'll be honest with you, that's up to the competitors and coaches to keep evolving and keep making this sport exciting and what it needs to be. You know, there's a few teams that are out at the forefront right now, but as long as the coaches keep pushing their competitors to evolve, it's up to us to make this happen.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like the sponsors and everything, they're interested. You got people like Rogan interested. You have people like Triller interested. Like it's just it's a matter of going out and performing.
That's right.
You know?
I feel like the hope of maybe someday making those salaries will push people to evolve more.
Yes.
And the sport grows with the evolution of people's games.
Hard on the coaches too to make sure that they're helping their guys develop.
Yeah, it's definitely really important. I feel like the coaching aspect kind of gets overlooked. I feel like an exception would be John Daniel because he's getting so much recognition. But I feel like coaching as a whole kind of gets overlooked because I feel like people don't understand how important it really is to have a great coach. You know, you have to have a coach that knows you.
This sport is evolving quickly, very, very quickly.
Right.
And the people at the top are making quite a big separation from the rest of the pack.
Right.
And only because they're allowing themselves, and the coaches are evolving with the times. You have to evolve with it. You have to keep watching why. What are they doing? How am I going to counter what they're doing? Why are they winning? Like, it's a process that has to be done between coach and competitor. And evolution has to come from both, not just from the competitor.
Right, you can't have one that outgrows the other.
That's it.
So moving on. So Gordon Ryan believes he will be dead in the next 10 years. What's your thoughts on that?
Competitively, it's going to be hard for it to keep up. Competitively, it's going to be really hard to keep up. Do you have Spider out in Japan, maybe? I'm not sure where Spider's at. I believe it's in Japan. But other than them, there's really EUG just came out. They're paying maybe 10 grand, stuff like that. Spider pays it. But when you look at the top, the problem is that gi game just slows down so much, man. It just slows the game down. No gi is just more motion. For the most part. Don't get me wrong. We've seen plenty where people stall out and it's not as fun to watch. But I agree. I think competitively for money, gi will die out. I'm sure there'll still be gi tournaments, there'll still be worlds, there'll still be all that. But I don't think that competitively at the highest levels you'll see much of it.
I see. Yeah, I'm not saying gi isn't fun. All I'm saying is that I definitely see the aspect of it slowing down the pace of a match. It really takes a person that knows jiu-jitsu to enjoy it. Like, you're not going to get outside audiences to understand.
Exactly, and that's what we need to grow. We need that outside audience. So it's funny because on the opposite end, like judo, judo can be incredibly exciting, and it's with the gi, but it's such an offensively pushed sport, and the finish of it, like the finality of it, is so quick. Once something happens and it hits the ground, it's over. So it's not that something with the gi can't be, evolved into something fun. The problem is that the in gi for jiu-jitsu, it kind of slows it down instead.
I understand. Yeah. for me, it'd be sad to see D kind of go like that because I enjoy competing in it. But like you said, competitions aren't going to go anywhere. It's just the money in it won't be there.
I think those top level shows, who's number one, third coach. I don't think you'll see any kind of D tournaments for 50 grand or 100. I just don't think. Other than Spider, you're really going to see it in the United States.
I see. So moving on to number 10. What's your thoughts on performance-enhancing drugs, and do you think there's more athletes using them than not?
Yeah. So, as far as athletes using them and not, I'm not sure. To guess, I don't know. If you're honestly, it doesn't bother me either way. I honestly believe that with or without, these guys are able to technically, do what they need to do. Most of the people doing them too is for recovery. It's not for making them bigger, not being stronger. So I don't really care either way. It doesn't bother me. It's not something that I really care about. Not for nothing, but any competitor or anything that I talk to over 30, the first thing I ask them is, have you had your testosterone levels checked?
Right.
Because I don't think there's anything wrong with the TRT, and especially if you're going to your doctor and having them just raise it to the levels that they're supposed to be at. I'm not saying go on the street and get TRT and do whatever. But if your testosterone is low, I always push anybody that's at the age of 30 to at least go get it checked and see, because it is something that can help you recover much quicker, especially at an older age, or even just somebody who's competing a ton and needs to recover. The sports or the enhancing drugs doesn't. I don't care either way. If they're illegal in a tournament, obviously. Don't do them. But if it's not illegal in a tournament, it's not illegal.
I understand. Yeah, because I know people are always getting on to certain high-level grapplers, being like, "Oh, you're on the sauce," And for me, my rationale is, if everybody's using it, why can't you?
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I feel like it's not really going to sway really anything. Basically, it is what it is, especially in this type of sport. And like you said, people don't use it really to get big, because if anything, that would really slow you down.
Exactly. Yeah, it's more for recovery purposes anyway.
That's a good way to look into it. Do you feel sandbagging and avoiding matches is a growing problem in jiu-jitsu?
It's a horrible problem. It's a horrible problem. Listen, if as far as the sandbag goes, if you're trying to be a competitor, a successful competitor, and you're not already doing advanced levels to see where you need to be at,
right.
You're cutting yourself short. Winning that medal isn't making you better,
right?
Now listen, there's a big difference though between hobbyists and competitors, right? So hobbyists, man, if you're a white belt, do the white belt division. Blue belt, do the blue belt division. If you're novice, all that stuff. But when I have somebody that comes in like Jacob, right? Jacob Nick's little brother, okay? His goal isn't to be a Naga champion. His goal isn't to be a hobbyist with a school right now.
Right.
His goal is to win trials, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So then there's zero reason for him to even enter a novice, beginner, or intermediate division even once, because it's not giving him any kind of look.
Right.
Let's see what the look is right now, you know what I mean, and see where we need to grow to. We might not be far off right now. And it turns out, you know what I mean, with somebody like him, it wasn't. There was no need for an intermediate division. He can medal immediately as a white belt going into that. As far as not taking matches, man, it is a problem. It is a real problem. At teen, at adult, gi, no gi, it doesn't matter, man.
Right.
It's a shame. And again, if you're entertaining and you're competing constantly, people are going to turn it back. They're not necessarily looking at it at win-loss, but you have so many people that are so concerned about losing. And if you're concerned about losing at purple and brown, forget having a black belt career. If you're that concerned and you're turning down matches at a purple belt and a brown belt level, man, it's about experience. It's and the sandbagging is not a fan.
You're not a fan? Yeah. I certainly
bothers me.
I'm certainly not either, and I feel like loss is essential in anywhere from blue to brown, and then black even. like losing is essential, and cherry picking your matches is just not a good way of growing for yourself.
Yes. How are you going to get better if you're just picking and choosing who you're going against?
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree
Oh,
with you.
probably my biggest pet peeve in jiu-jitsu is that.
Yeah. Alright. Moving on to the last question. What advice could you give to young grapplers who want to pursue competitive jiu-jitsu as a career, and how should they approach their training to be a high-level competitor?
Yeah. So this, and when you say high-level competitor, I think at it as the highest level, right?
Like
At the highest level.
Yeah.
So understand that the work that it takes to get there, man, is in the individual. You know what I mean? Again, the coaches, they can give you the instruction, they can give you, you're talking about having to now take that information and go out and execute it at the highest level, right? So difficult. To do that, you got to train. You got to train. To be at that highest level, you need 6 to 7 days a week. Minimum 6 to 7 sessions, right? And you've worked with high-level guys. I'm sure this is going to sound very similar.
Yes.
You got to lift. You have to eat right. You have to stretch. You know what I mean? You have to do things that are keeping you from getting injured. You know? And I prefer lifting and stretching, but if you have to, at least do one or the other. You know? Eating right. Keeping yourself to where you're at a weight to where you can compete at that weight at any given moment, to where you're never in a camp. It's always ready to go. Something comes up, you can build up to a camp, but training every day so that you're always ready and getting yourself in there. Making sure that you're in a room that's pushing you. You know, if you're in a room and you're just smoking everybody in the room every single day, that's hard for you to get better. I say too, that's why somebody who's going to be a competitor at the highest level, you have to be selfish. Being selfish is such an important thing, and it sounds weird, but if you want to be the best and you're not getting what you need to be the best, then you need to selfishly change that for your own goals. You know what I mean? Unless you don't want that anymore and you're willing to accept what fate is with what you have in front of you. But if not, you need to be selfish and you need to find the coaches, to find the training partners that you need.
Definitely, I agree.
And as far as being in the room when training, being open to new things, putting yourself in bad positions, putting yourself in submissions, putting yourself in situations that are going to be worst case scenario that you have to get used to working out of, and never taking rounds off would be my last thing. Being tired in training and having to force yourself to compete like that, that's how you get better at that. That's your cardio.
Yeah, that's how you reach the next level.
Yes.
Yeah. Learn to be comfortable when you're uncomfortable.
Always, yep. Train when you're tired.
Exactly. Yeah, so do you think competing a lot is essential for the comeback?
Yes, I should have said that too. Yeah, for sure. These guys compete as much as possible, as many, and not just super matches. Forget super matches.
Right.
Tournaments where you can get 4, 5, 6 matches in, to get those reps, to get those rounds, and to work on something. You know, Amanda Levy, she came back from the Subversive, wanted to work on leg locks, so she did a Grappling Industries and literally just work on leg locks. She went for nothing else but leg locks. You know, no matter what position she was in, it was just working to get to a leg entanglement to try to finish with the heel.
Right.
You know, you have to constantly be evolving and using things like that, things like smaller tournaments like Nagas and stuff like that, even these super matches to get yourself in that spotlight, to build yourself up for that big stage. So once you get to that big stage, that it's just work, it's just practice. We've done this 1,000 times. It's the same thing. That's it.
Yeah.
So where competing is just like training. You're so used to it.
I understand. So, question that I didn't write down but I feel is important is what advice could you give to maybe coaches? How could you be a better coach or be a good coach?
All right. So, and I mean this with all due respect, is I think that right now, I think a lot of coaches are lazy to the curriculum for competitors, okay? Understand that regular curriculum jiu-jitsu for hobbyists is going to 100% keep them healthy, keep them to where they can defend themselves outside, keep them to where, you know, all that is great. But when you're dealing with competitors, you have to understand that the sport has evolved. It has evolved to a point where stacking guard passes and scissor sweeps aren't going to work at any kind of high level. So coaches need to be evolving with the times and understanding that there's an intricate way to pass reverse de la Riva, and there is a intricate way to trap hands from the back. That there's stuff above what they've learned, and as an instructor, you should continuously learn for your competitors. Again, if you're talking hobbyists, what curriculum jiu-jitsu is now, for the most part, is going to help anybody out there that needs to defend themselves fairly, in a good way and easily. But when it comes to competitors and trying to focus on that, the coach, watch these high-level guys, watch what's winning, man. Don't think that because you're, on one team and, even looking at DVDs or watching how somebody else is winning on another team that can't help you, man. There's so much information out there that's available to coaches that I don't feel, at least when I watch competitors go out there and compete, when I watch these competitors go out and compete, it doesn't seem like many teams are keeping up with the times when I watch our guys compete. You can, again, there's becoming a separation in competition, and it's you can see who's keeping up with it and who's not.
That goes back to the point we made before about how they have to grow together.
Correct.
So, that's a great point.
Awesome.
So that's what we have for Grapple Chat today. Thank you, Professor.
Dude, I'm so
Smashpass
flattered
today.
that I was the first one, man.
Yeah, thank
totally
you.
flattered. I love you guys, man.
Yes, that was awesome. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and catch you in the next one.
Great job.